draft time came along, like for sure, this dude is gonna get drafted so high. Round 1 comes, and round 1 ends, and he still doesn't get a call. He's still waiting for his moment. Finally,
It's gonna keep almost here, jam on the fence. For sure. I'll take you with our next pick right here, man.
See, that's what the Cleveland people are not familiar with. See, y'all ain't familiar with Shedeur winning out schedules, going over 500, not once, not two, not three, but 4 or 5 times. He's been doing it since he was in high school at the highest level. See, when he was at Jackson State, they said it wasn't good enough.
Jimmy Haslam didn't make this decision. Why? What's coming for Shedeur Sanders in 2025 is bigger than anything the people doubting him ever prepared for. So, don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. Let me say this right now. This was never just a viral moment. What you just saw. That wasn't just a feel-good story making rounds on social media. That wasn't just a classroom clip people shared for a quick emotional hit and then moved on from. No, this was something way bigger. This was something that hit the core of an NFL franchise. And whether they want to admit it or not, it forced their hand. Because here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. NFL teams don't move like this, especially not teams run by owners who are known for control. These organizations plan years ahead. Every move is calculated. Every quarterback decision is mapped out months, sometimes seasons in advance. You don't just wake up one morning and suddenly shift direction because of public emotion. That's not how this league works. But this time, something broke that pattern. And that's what makes this moment different. Because what that video did, it didn't just go viral. It connected. It hit something real. Not just with fans, but with the city, with the locker room, and most importantly, with the identity of this team. Cleveland isn't just looking for a quarterback. They've been searching for something to believe in for years. Stability, leadership, a face that actually represents the fight this city has been through. And suddenly, out of nowhere, that belief landed on Shedeur Sanders. Think about how fast that shift happened. One moment, he's just another young quarterback trying to find his place. A late pick, a name on the depth chart. Maybe. We'll see. The kind of player teams usually keep in the background while they figure out their real plan. And then, boom, overnight, everything changes. Now, he's not just part of the roster, he's the story. Now every move is being watched. Now, every rep matters. Now every throw means something. That's pressure, real pressure. And here's the part that makes this even more dangerous, because this doesn't just stay on the outside. This kind of energy, it creeps into the building. Teammates start paying attention. Coaches start adjusting. Conversations behind closed doors start sounding a little different. Because when the fans start believing, the locker room feels it. And when the locker room feels it, the organization can't ignore it anymore. So now you've got a situation where the original plan, it's fading. Slowly, quietly, but it's fading. Because it's getting replaced by something they didn't fully choose. Momentum. And momentum in the NFL, that's one of the most powerful forces you can't control. We've seen this before. A player catches fire, the fans rally behind him, the narrative shifts, and suddenly, the team isn't deciding the future anymore. The moment is. And right now, Shedeur Sanders is standing right in the middle of that moment. The expectations are rising. The spotlight is getting brighter, and whether anyone inside that building is ready or not, this situation is no longer developing quietly. It's exploding. So now, the question isn't whether this story matters. The real question is, what happens when a player becomes bigger than the plan? Let's talk about the reality inside that building right now, because this is where things start getting uncomfortable. Shedeur Sanders was never supposed to be this guy this early. I'm serious. Go look at how this usually works in the NFL. A 5th-round quarterback? That's a developmental piece. That's a let's see what we have in a year or two type of investment. You sit behind veterans. You learn the system. You take preseason reps. Maybe you get a shot down the line if everything breaks your way. That's the script. But right now in Cleveland, That script is getting ripped up in real time. Because when you look at the depth chart, when you look at the quarterback room, this isn't supposed to be his team yet. There are veterans, there are contracts, there are expectations already in place. Coaches came into this season with a plan, a timeline, and Shedeur was not supposed to jump that timeline. But now, he's forcing the conversation, and that changes everything. Because once a young quarterback starts getting real attention, not just hype, but belief, the locker room starts reacting. Players notice who the energy is around. They notice who the crowd is talking about. They notice who the cameras are following at practice. And in the NFL, perception becomes reality fast. Now think about the coaching staff for a second. These guys are under pressure too. They don't have the luxury of patience. Every game matters. Every decision gets dissected. So when the noise around a player starts getting louder and louder, it forces them to evaluate things differently. Not just who gives us the best long-term future, but who gives us the best chance right now. And that's where the tension starts building. Because not everybody in that building signed up for this shift. Veterans aren't trying to wait behind a rookie wave. Coaches aren't trying to gamble their jobs on potential. Front offices aren't trying to admit they may have found something they didn't even plan for, but they can feel it. And then you bring the fans into this. Cleveland fans? They've been starving for a quarterback. Not just talent identity, someone they can ride with, someone who feels like theirs. And when a fan base like that locks in emotionally, it's powerful. But it's also dangerous, because belief creates expectation, and expectation creates pressure. Now Shedeur isn't just competing for reps, he's carrying a narrative. Every throw is being judged. Every decision is being analyzed. Every moment is either building the legend or feeding the doubt. That's a completely different game. And here's the wild part. This isn't happening slowly. This is happening fast. Faster than anyone inside that organization probably wanted. The timeline is collapsing. The spotlight is accelerating. And the player who was supposed to develop quietly is now standing in the middle of a franchise-level conversation. That's not normal. That's not planned. That's not safe, but it's real. Because at some point, you have to stop pretending this is just another rookie situation. You have to stop acting like this is just depth chart competition. This is bigger than that now. They didn't just draft a quarterback. They accidentally created a movement. Let's not get it twisted, because the higher this rises, the uglier it's about to get. This is the part nobody likes to talk about, the doubt, the disrespect, and the target that comes with it. Because once your name starts buzzing like this in the NFL, once people start calling you the future, once fans start believing, the entire league shifts its attention toward you, and not in a good way. Now they're watching. Now they're waiting. Now they're hoping you slip. Because that's how this works. The moment hype shows up, so does the pressure to tear it down. And Shedeur Sanders? He's walking right into that storm. Let's be real. There are people who never believed in him from day one. They questioned where he came from. They questioned the level of competition. They questioned whether his game would translate. Some even questioned his attitude before he ever stepped onto an NFL field. And when the draft happened, that 5th round label, oh, they held on to that. They still hold on to that. Because in this league, labels stick. And once you get tagged a certain way, late pick, project, not elite, people don't let go of that easily. They wait for you to prove them wrong. But more than that, they wait for you to prove them right. That's the game. And now that his name is rising, now that the spotlight is on him, those same voices, they're getting louder again. Every throw is going to be picked apart. Every mistake is going to be magnified. Every bad read is going to turn into, see, we told you. That's the reality. But it doesn't stop there. Because inside that building, the pressure is even more real. Veterans are watching. And let's be honest, not everybody is just going to fall in line behind a young quarterback getting this kind of attention. Respect in the NFL isn't given, it's taken. And until he proves it on the field, there are going to be guys in that locker room testing him, quietly watching how he carries himself. Coaches, they're under fire too. If they lean into him and it doesn't work, that's their job on the line. So every decision they make with him isn't just about development, it's about survival. And the media? Oh, they're waiting. They're waiting for that one bad game, that one moment, that one headline where they can flip the narrative and say, "We knew this was coming." That's the environment he's stepping into. This isn't just opportunity anymore. This is a test, a real one. The kind of test that breaks players who aren't built for it. Because it's not just about talent now. It's about composure. It's about mindset. It's about how you respond when the noise gets loud, when the expectations start suffocating, when the spotlight stops feeling exciting and starts feeling heavy. And here's the crazy part. Everybody thinks this is new for him. Everybody thinks this is the biggest pressure he's ever faced. But that's where they're wrong. Because if you really look at his journey, if you really understand the path he's taken, the doubts he's already dealt with, the criticism he's already heard, then you start to realize something. This isn't new. This isn't overwhelming. This isn't unfamiliar. The league thinks this is pressure. But for him, this is familiar territory. Now here's where everything flips. Because what looked like pressure a second ago, it might actually be the setup. This might be the perfect storm. And I'm not saying that lightly. I'm saying that because when you step back and really look at everything happening around Shedeur right now, it's almost too aligned to ignore. Start with the timing. Because timing in the NFL is everything. We've seen talented quarterbacks fail not because they weren't good enough, but because the situation was wrong. Wrong coach, wrong system, wrong moment. 2000, 2004, 2004. It matters. But right now, the timing feels different. You've got a team in transition. You've got a coaching staff trying to redefine identity. You've got a locker room that's been searching for direction. And then you've got a fan base that is desperate not just for wins, but for something real to believe in. That's not chaos. That's opportunity. Because when everything is unsettled, when everything is still being figured out, that's when someone can step in and take control of the narrative. And Shedeur? He's stepping into that exact window. Look at the environment around him. The attention is there. The energy is there. The belief is building. And for once, it's not being forced. It's happening naturally. That matters. Because players can feel the difference between manufactured hype and real momentum. This feels real. And then you look at him not just as a player, but as a presence. Because this is where things get interesting. He doesn't move like someone overwhelmed by the moment. He doesn't carry himself like a guy who's unsure of where he belongs. There's a calmness there, a composure, the kind you can't fake, the kind you only get from being tested over and over again. And that's what people underestimate. This isn't just about talent. There are a lot of talented quarterbacks in this league, but not all of them can handle noise. Not all of them can stay locked in when the pressure starts closing in. He can. You see it in the way he carries himself. You see it in how he responds. You see it in how he doesn't let the moment speed him up. That's leadership, not the loud kind, but the kind that shows up when things get uncomfortable. And that's what this situation is becoming. Because now, all those pieces, the team, the fans, the timing, the attention, they're starting to connect. Slowly at first, but it's building. You can feel it. This is what it looks like when preparation meets opportunity. Every doubt he faced, every moment he had to prove himself, every time people questioned him, all of that led here. Not by accident, but by design. And when that kind of alignment happens in the NFL, it usually means something is coming, something big. So yeah, people can keep calling this hype. They can keep waiting for it to fall apart. They can keep acting like this is just another storyline that's going to fade. But if you're really paying attention, if you're really watching how this is unfolding, you start to realize something. This isn't random. This isn't accidental. This isn't luck. This is timing. Now let's take this all the way there. Because if this hits the way it could hit, we're not just talking about a good story anymore. We're talking about something that could change everything. I want you to really think about this for a second. What if he actually delivers? Not flashes, not moments, not he showed potential. I'm talking about real production, real wins, real command of the offense. The kind of performance where you stop asking questions and you start making statements. Because if that happens in Cleveland, that changes the entire trajectory of this franchise overnight. And we've seen this before. We've seen teams stumble into their guy when nobody expected it. A quarterback nobody fully believed in, stepping into chaos and turning it into something stable, something dangerous, something real. That's how this league shifts. Not always with the obvious pick, not always with the perfect plan. Sometimes it happens like this: unexpected, uncomfortable, uncontrolled, but undeniable. Because once the winning starts, everything else disappears. All the draft talk, gone. All the criticism, silent. All the labels, meaningless. Winning erases all of it. You don't argue with results in the NFL. You don't debate it. You don't explain it away. If you're winning games, especially in a place like Cleveland, the narrative flips instantly. And now think about what that would look like. A team that people wrote off, suddenly competing. A quarterback that people doubted, suddenly leading. A city that's been waiting, finally believing. That's not just a turnaround, that's a shockwave. And if that shockwave hits, oh, the league is going to feel it. Because now, you're not just dealing with a feel-good rookie story anymore. You're dealing with a problem, a real one. A quarterback with confidence, momentum, and a fan base behind him, that's dangerous. Defenses start adjusting. Media starts scrambling. Analysts who doubted him, they start backtracking. They start rewriting their takes. They start acting like they saw it coming all along. We've seen that movie before too. But here's where I'm going to go bold. I don't think this is just about development. I don't think this is just about seeing what he has. I think this is setting up for something way bigger. I'm talking about a team that could make noise sooner than people expect. I'm talking about meaningful games late in the season. I'm talking about a situation where the Browns aren't just competing, they're forcing people to take them seriously. And if that happens, everything changes. The future changes. The plan changes. The entire identity of the franchise changes. Because when you find that guy, nothing else matters anymore. So yeah, people can stay skeptical. They can wait for it to fall apart. They can keep pointing at where he was drafted, what he hasn't proven yet, what they think he can't do. That's fine. But if you're watching closely, if you're really paying attention to how this is building, you already know this isn't normal. You already know something is shifting. And if this turns into what it looks like it might turn into, then remember this moment. Remember how it started. Because this right here, this is where everything changes. This is where the story begins.